Hello out there, and welcome to the second Tales from the Cards video. Uh, Continuing the Nightmare theme, today I'm going to be taking on Nightmare Into Ithilien. Dun dun dun. Um, this, of course, is one of those quests that gave players a lot of trouble when it first came out, and still can. The Nightmare version ups the ante a little bit, by of course adding in some tougher Nightmare cards itself. And the new little twist here is that there are two copies of this Mumak Elite, which is a tougher version of the Mumak. And one of these creatures comes into play at the beginning of stage 2 and the beginning of stage 4. So if you remember back to Into Ithilien, there's two paths to go through this quest, which is a really cool feature. I like quests that give you different paths. I hope that's something we see more of again in the future. And so the two paths are either you let Kelador die, which you go to stage 2 and have the siege quest, or you keep Kelador alive when you advance from stage 1 and go straight to stage 3, which is willpower questing, although all enemies stay in the staging area. So the first strategy of letting Kelador die was a very popular one. It's one I use somewhat, but I also used the other strategy. What's happened here in Nightmare mode is they've actually taken away the incentive to let Kelador die, which is part of their little thematic fixing of trying to fix part of the quest, which didn't make good thematic sense. You know, you shouldn't be rooting for your ally, this poor Ranger Kelador, to die or trying to get him to die. You should be trying to save him, and if he dies, bad things should happen. So that's what happens here. If you let him die and go to stage 2, you're going to have to take on not one, but two Mumak Elites, which could really ruin your day because they're very, very tough to kill. So in Nightmare mode, it's definitely better to keep Kelador alive and go through stage 3 instead. So, what I'm playing today is a deck that I've used against the original Heirs of Numenor scenarios to good effect, which is Boromir, Beregond, and Spirit Glorfindel. The idea behind this deck is really to do well at battle and siege quests, and Glorfindel is included and Spirit is included to be able to do some traditional willpower questing as well. You know, I've beaten Into Ithilien, the original version, with a mono tactics deck pretty easily, using that strategy of letting Kelador die. But this deck, which I've also used against the original version of Into Ithilien, is one that is meant to pursue the stage 3 path. So that's why I'm using it today against the Nightmare version. With the general strategy being you save up your willpower allies, dump them out onto the table on stage 3, and try to plow through it as quickly as possible before the enemies pile up, since stage 3 doesn't allow you to engage them. So I've taken care of all the setup beforehand. We've got Kelador, our friend in the staging area. We've got one Southern Company. We've got Ithilien Road, which lowers the engagement cost of each enemy to 0. I've got my opening hand here, which I will be keeping because I have the all-important Light of Valinor and Gondoran Shield. So we'll be holding on to those. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Nightmare Into Ithilien and see how successful I can be. Starting the first round, we'll go ahead and begin by putting our shield on Beregond, of course. We will also put the light of Valinor on Glorfindel. Excuse the little pop-ups onto my screen, hitting the wrong button there. And trying to figure out my last spending of resources here. I think I'll just go ahead and keep hitting the wrong button there. I'll go ahead and put my Defender of Ramos out just for some added defensive help. So that'll do it. Kelador, while he's in the staging area, is committed to the quest, so that's 2. The Southern Companies have 3 threat, because the current quest card has this keyword. Glorfindel is automatically committed with Light of Eleanor. Well, not automatically committed, but you might as well be. So that's 5 to 3. I will send Boromir, since I can easily ready him. So that's 8 to 3. And that's fine for now. I'm not necessarily too worried about clearing out Ithilien Road for sure, which has 4 quest points, because whatever enemies come up, I'll probably end up engaging them anyway, unless I'm unlucky enough to draw a Mumak. So let's see what happens. First card is the Ithilien Overlook. This is a nasty card, probably the worst location, one of the worst nightmare cards. Archery 2, and when you assign archery damage, you have to put all that damage on a single character until they are dead. So this is one we're going to want to get rid of quickly. So we've done 8 against 6. Unfortunately, that is not enough to clear Ithilien Road, which is actually not good now, because I'm going to have to take this archery damage from the Ithilien Overlook. So that is unfortunate. But nothing we can do. The Southron Company will come down automatically. Give it a shadow. Beregond will defend with 6 defense. And nothing. And boy, am I glad to see the other Ithilien Overlook go as a shadow card. I would have had to face that next turn. It would have had 2 of these guys on the table, which again, nasty. Speaking of which, I forgot to assign the archery damage. I'll go ahead and put that on Glorfindel. And raise my threat by 1, ready Boromir, and the fearsome duo will go ahead and take out the Southron Company. And move to next turn. So overall, not the worst first round. I would have liked to clear the location so I could have traveled to the Overlook, but we will try to do that now. There's really no good plays here, because there's no real use putting a willpower ally like Sylvan Refugee out at this moment, because I'm not questing with willpower. So let's just stay where we are, save our monies. We're sending 3 from Glorfindel, 3 from Boromir, 2 from Kelador again for 8 against 3. And we really need to clear out this Ithilien Road so we can travel to the Overlook. I'm almost tempted to send my defender just to make sure. In fact, I'm going to. So sending 9. And we draw Core Malin Fields. While the current quest has battle, it gets +2 threat. Oh joy, so it's 5 threat. So luckily I make 4 progress, which is enough. 1, 2 there, and 1, 2 there. Ithilien Road is cleared. I will definitely travel to the Overlook. Cormellan Fields will stay here. If the current quest had the siege, I would be forced to travel to it, but it is not. But I am going to have to take on that 5 threat. But it's more important to get the Overlook out of play. So 2 more archery damage. Let's go ahead and put it on Boromir. I could put it on Glorfindel, but then he's wide open to blocking wargs, so let's not do that. And move on to the next turn. Okay, so first I will pay 1 for the Blade of Gondolin, which actually comes in quite handy in this quest, and it's a pretty useful weapon all around. Just putting a little bit of extra progress doesn't seem like much, but it actually adds up. And I will spend another 3 tactics resources for the Knight of Minas Tirith. Now, there's no enemy in the staging area for him to use this ability against, so it might seem like a bit of a waste, but it's just 3 extra attack that I can quest with right now, which is important. So I will send Boromir, Glorfindel, Kelador for 8. I will also send the new knight for another 3. So I'm questing 11 against 5. And I'll send my defender again just to be a little bit more safe. 12 against 5. And we get Lost Companion. Each player removes 1 character from the quest. And if any players no characters, remove all characters. Well, that's lucky. I will remove the defender, go down to 11. 11 to 5 is 6 progress. So that does clear out the overlook and adds 2 more here. And I can travel to Cormallen Fields. So it's working out pretty nicely here, which I've probably jinxed myself now. No sign of blocking wargs, not a lot of enemies pouring out, but we'll see if that luck holds up. Next round, we have a nice little spear to attach to Beregond for free. And that's about it. In general, like I said at the beginning, I'll just save up my spirit resources so that I can dump some of these spirit allies into the table when it comes time to willpower quest. So that's what I'm doing right now. So nothing in the staging area. I'll send 3, 6, 8 again. Send my knight for 3. So I'll send 11 against 0. Ooh, the nasty Haradrim Marksman. While the current quest has battle, he gets +2, so he's actually 4 threat. And he has archery 2, which fortunately the overlook is not in play, which would have forced me to assign that to 1 character. But since that's not out, I can assign it however I want as normal. So 11 to 4 is 6, 7. So 5 will go to clearing out the fields and 2 more on the quest. I'm glad I didn't advance to the next stage with this guy there because his archery would hurt. So let's go ahead and pull him down. Assign the 2 archery damage to... let's go ahead and put 1 on the knight. And give him a buffer and put 1 on Glorfindel. Beregond will defend. That does 1 damage to the marksman. Attacking enemy gets +1, a +2. That's still only 4 attack. No big deal. Boromir will ready. And him and Glorfindel will attack. Yep, and 6 minus 2 is 4, which is enough damage thanks to Beregond's spear. He's dead, and we can put 1 progress on the quest thanks to the Blade of Gondolin. Next turn, let's go ahead and pay 1 to put another Blade of Gondolin on Boromir. Now he's basically a Legolas. So far things are going pretty well. The main things I'm worried about right now that could completely wreck me are a bunch of blocking wargs, one after another. Like if I drew 2 in a turn, it could kill Glorfindel, and a Moomock. So those things are kind of my big concerns. So we will send 3, 6, 8, 11 against nothing again. And I did forget to draw cards. I could have drawn cards with Foehammer after destroying that enemy. I forgot to do so. So I will be hard on myself as usual and not allow myself to do it now. We'll hold on to it. So 11 against nothing. We get Overgrown Trail. This is the one we can exhaust a ranger to put 3 progress on. I don't have any rangers about though. So this is just 11 to 4, which is 7 progress. Which is going to place us just 1 shy of progressing. We will go ahead and travel to the trail and move to the next turn. Okay, so I do have a eagle. We can help with battle questing, although he's very tender. And yeah, that's about all I'll play. We'll send 3, 6, 8 again. Let's go ahead and send the eagle. Let's go ahead and send the knight. We're just going to blow it out of the park. That's 14 against nothing. Ooh, looky here, Ithilien Garden. This is good timing because if I move to stage 3, I'll be able to collect both of these guys. But this guy does surge after adding his 2 attack. No blocking wards, that's good. So each Harad enemy in the staging area gains archery. So this guy will have archery if he stays in the staging area, which he will, unfortunately. Each engaged Harad enemy gets +1. So 16 versus 4 threat is 12. That blows away 6 on the trail, and the 1 more we need here. So we're going to move to the next stage, which is not that one. We move past stage 2 to stage 3, the hidden way. So we fought off the first invasion, and now the rangers are going to take us on their hidden way. Takes control of all ranger objectives. That is quite nice. Grab these 2 guys. Enemies do not make engagement checks, cannot be optionally engaged. So unfortunately, this guy has to stay in there with his archery 1. I do have some Westfold Outriders and some other Knight of Minas Tiriths who can pull enemies out of the staging area. So if I draw one of those, that could help. Archery 1, let's just go ahead and throw it on the Guardian. Sorry. And move to the next turn. So now we are going to be doing regular willpower questing. So this is the time when I will pay 1 for the Sylvan Refugee. I will pay 2 for the Thyr Swordsman. And since I have him, I'll just go ahead and pay 2 for another Defender. So unfortunately, this deck is not quite as good at willpower questing as it is with other stuff. It can be quite good, though. You get some of these Thyr Swordsmen out. Some more of the other willpower allies I have, like Arwen, some more refugees. But as it is, my willpower potential is a bit limited. So I will quest for 3 with Glorfindel. I'll quest 2 for Kelador, 2 with the Guardian, 1 with the refugee, 2 with the refugee, sorry, 2 more with the swordsman. That gets me to 11 to 4, and we'll throw in Boromir just to add another. That's 12 to 4. If I hit a blocking warg right now, that is going to completely wreck me. Usually I would like to have a test of will by now, but unfortunately I don't. No, this is Doom 2. Discard Savage Fray. Basically changes battle to siege, siege to battle, vice versa. But if the quest doesn't have a keyword, it just surges, so it's just going to surge. No blocking wargs. I'm very happy about that. and this only has one threat because the current quest doesn't have a keyword. So we're going to make 7 progress, which we're in good position. We want to blast through this next turn, otherwise these enemies are going to start piling up. And each rod enemy has archery 1, so they both have archery 1, so I'm going to face archery 2. It's kind of a terrible time to draw the captain right before I went into stage 3 when I can't engage these guys, but it's fine. So archery 2, let's go ahead and put 1 on the knight, and we'll put 1 on Kelador. He can take it. Move to the next turn. And nothing that helpful. Let's just go ahead and put out another eagle. And go ahead and put out the wing guardian finally too. Because if I blast through to the final stage, which I should, I'm going to be facing these 2 enemies. Although the captain doesn't have to come down, but a Mumak Elite will also be coming out, and potentially a 4th enemy that pops out this turn, so I'm going to need some help. So let's go ahead and send Glorfindel for 3, 5 with Kelador, 5 with Guardian, 7 with Guardian, sorry, up to 9 with the Refugee, up to 11 with the Swordsman, and let's send Glorfindel just 2. I would hate to lose by 1. No one else has willpower, so that's about all I can do, and hope for the best. Same thing as last time. This thing is just going to surge. My threat is rising quite a bit. I do have some threat reduction in here, but let's hope for the best here. And we get dense thickets. While it's in the staging area, each forest location gets +1, so it gives itself +1. So that was about the best possible draw I could have gotten. There's 7 threat in the staging area, which means I make exactly 5 progress, which is exactly enough to move to the next stage. Final stage, approaching Caer Andros. If any player's threat is 37 or higher, which it is, it gains siege, so I'm going to be sieging. At the end of each round, I have to raise my threat by 2, which is why I'm starting to worry about threat. And the Nightmare rules mean that since Foray is revealed, we're going to add a Mumak Elite to the staging area. Deadly. And so we're going to leave this here because that's 8 quest points, and I'm not too worried. If I was in a multiplayer game, I'd probably want to get this away because more forest locations are going to come up, but as it is, this isn't going to chain together too badly. So I'm going to try to figure out what to do here. We know the Mumak, the Southern Company are coming. I'm just deciding whether to take this guy on as well. The thing is, I have a bunch of good defenders available. The only thing that's giving me pause is I really want them around to siege quest next turn. But yeah, I think I'm just going to do it just to get the threat out of the staging area. So I'll engage the captain. The Mumak Elite comes down. The Southern Company comes down. They all come down. This is the only thing left. Let's give them shadow cards in order. Check for archery, which this guy only gives archery to enemies in the staging area, Harad enemies in the staging area, so there's none, so we don't have to worry about that. The Mumak Elite does have Archery X, which is the number of players in the game, so it has 1 archery, and that's it. So just 1 archery, not bad at all. Trying to decide where to put it. I could just kill off a refugee since it's kind of worthless now, so let's do that. We'll kill off the refugee. Which, you know, I'm probably going to chump block. Maybe someone will die this turn, so the refugee would be gone anyway, so no big deal. So the 7 attack is definitely ripe for chump blocking. You know, Beregond could probably survive it, but let's not risk it. So let's chump an eagle. Why would I do that? Because I'm saving my big 4 defender allies for sieging next turn. This enemy attacks again. Oh, that sucks. Wouldn't you know it? So the eagle's dead. This is going to attack again. Another shadow card. Let's jump the other eagle. Gets plus X. X is that enemy's archery value, so it's 8, so that eagle's dead. So that took out 2 of my defenders and potential attacker, unfortunately. Okay, next up. Let's go ahead and defend the Southron Company with Beregond, which will do 1 damage to it. It's attacking for 5. And shadow card is nothing. Now we have this 4. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to risk one of my defenders and hope it doesn't get an attack boost. Oh, there's an attack boost. That's terrible. So I lose one of my big questers for next turn. Sometimes with this deck, you know, when I have like, I had 4, 8, 12 defense just between these allies, I've been able to blast through this final quest stage in a single turn, and that's what I was hoping to do here. Losing that ally right there really put a crimp in that plans a bit. But life goes on. Let's go ahead and raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. 3 and 6. This company actually has 2 defense because it gets a +1 from the captain. So that's 4, but luckily the spear made my job easier, so this guy will still die. Which does put 2 progress on the quest, which might help. I also will exhaust this to use Foe Hammer to give me 3 more options going into that last, well, potentially last turn, let's hope. And that is actually pretty lovely to see. Support of the Eagles means that I can take advantage of this 4 threat there. 4 defense, sorry. No real point to trying to attack these other guys. Just for 3, 4. Yeah, I couldn't even muster enough tack to do anything. So let's move on to the final turn. I'm saying that like it's secure. There's Hasty Stroke. That would have came in handy a second ago. So our only real move here is to pay 3 for support of the Eagles on Boromir. And 2 real ways to go here. I can try to win the game in 2 turns. Speaking of which, before I forget, I needed to raise my threat by 2 to satisfy stage 4. So I'm up to 43 threat. As I was saying, 2 schools of thought here. I could try to win the game in 2 turns and make sure I keep back enough defenders to be safe, or go for broke and try to send everything I can and just win the game this turn. Well, let me think about it as I commit. So we're up against 2 right now in the staging area. We need 13 to win the game. Definitely going to send Boromir because he can ready. Use support of the Eagles to steal the Winged Guardians 4. So he's questing for 6 by himself. Definitely send the Defender and the Winged Guardian for another 8. It gives me 14 right there. I'm going to send Beregond because he's for 6. That's 20. And I can hold back these 2 to be chump blockers. And the Guardian as well. So let's send Kelador for 22. And Glorfindel can quest for a measly 1, but it's something. 23 to 2. The one card that can really destroy me right now is Blocking Wargs. Blocking Wargs would kill him and kill him. That would take away 8. A huge 8 from my questing total. So let's hope I don't hit on that. And we get no Blocking Wargs. So current quest has Siege, so he's going to get +2 attack. Allies cannot be declared as defenders against the attacks of this one. So that's 4 threat total, but you know what? It's not going to matter. That is 23 minus 4 is 19 progress. And I'm going to put all 19 on there to really show off a bit, if you'll forgive me. And that is the game. That is it. Nightmare Into Ithilien has been defeated. This quest is really, this deck, I should say, is really geared towards defeating this scenario and the Heirs of Numenor scenario specifically. So I wouldn't say the Nightmare version is easy by any means. Especially in solo play, you can kind of work the system a little bit because you're not seeing as much of the nasty combos and encounter cards. Nightmare Into Ithilien in multiplayer, I haven't had a chance to try yet, but I imagine it is a true nightmare. I mean, you're going to be drawing tons of archery, the overlooks, just a bunch of these nasty enemies. And it wouldn't be nothing like this. Solo, you know, you can do a lot of the same strategies that work against regular Heirs of Numenor, which is, you know, using these 4 defense allies, using stuff like support of the Eagles, just getting those insane battle and siege totals, and all of those things help. It also helped, of course, I didn't run into Blocking Wargs at all. I do have, you know, 3 copies of Test of Will in here and Dwarven Tomb to try to recycle those to stop that from happening. But in the end, I was fortunate enough not to have worried that, to have encountered it. If I did lose the 8, let's just say I had drawn Blocking Wargs, I would have lost the 8 here. That would have taken me down to, what, 15 against 4? That's 11. Yeah, so I would have come up 2 short. So what probably would have happened if I would have tried to survive these attacks and then kill off the marksman, and then that would have added 2 progress and I would have won. Yeah, so even with Blocking Warriors on this last term, I might have still won, but you never know what could have happened. As it is, though, this is a victory against Nightmare Into Ithilien. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've had some suggestions for the next video to take on Nightmare Encounter at Aemon Din with a Gondor deck, so don't be surprised to see a video along those lines in the near future. But until then, happy questing, and I'll see you next time.